The soldier heard his mother calling his name, somewhere in the jungle. Softly. "Min." He stopped walking. The voice came again. Closer this time. "Min, come here." His hands began to shake because his mother was hundreds of kilometers away, and the man beside him suddenly grabbed his arm so hard it hurt, then whispered, "Don't answer it." Years later, he still remembered one thing. The voice sounded exactly like her. Why Vietnamese soldiers never answered voices in the jungle. During the war, the jungle was worse at night. In daylight, soldiers feared ambushes, but after sunset, they feared the forest itself. The trees became walls of blackness. Wet leaves clung to their boots. The air smelled like mud, smoke, and rotten water. Sometimes the jungle went completely silent. No insects, no birds, nothing. And according to old Vietnamese superstition, silence meant something was nearby. The older soldiers warned the younger ones about many things. Never whistle at night. Never sleep beside abandoned graves. Never follow footsteps into the trees. But above all, never answer voices calling your name after midnight, especially if the voice sounds familiar. Part 2. The first voice. At first, most young soldiers laughed at the stories, until they heard it themselves. One patrol moving through the Truong Son jungle claimed they heard a little girl crying somewhere ahead of them. The crying sounded weak, lost, human. One soldier tried to move toward the sound, but the others stopped him immediately, because there was one detail that terrified them. The crying never moved, not once. No footsteps, no breathing, just the exact same crying, repeating from the darkness. Another group reported hearing a wounded man begging for help deep in the trees. They searched for nearly 20 minutes, but the voice kept sounding farther away, always just ahead of them, leading them deeper into the jungle. Then suddenly, it stopped. Completely. And when they turned around, they realized the forest around them looked unfamiliar. They had wandered far off their original path. Part 3. The thing that mimicked people. Vietnamese folklore speaks of wandering spirits that imitate human voices. Some believe they are the souls of people who died violently. Others believe something older lives in the forests, something that enjoys leading humans into darkness. Veterans later described the voices in disturbing detail. Sometimes it sounded like a friend walking behind you. Sometimes a dead relative. Sometimes your own voice. One former soldier told a story he refused to speak about for years. Late one night, while standing guard near the jungle edge, he heard his best friend whisper his name, quietly, right beside his ear. Turn around. But his friend had died 3 days earlier. The soldier froze. Sweat ran down his face. Then the voice whispered again, "I know you can hear me." He never turned around, and by morning, he found footprints behind him in the mud. Bare human footprints, standing only a few centimeters from where he had been all night. Part 4. The soldier who answered. There was one story soldiers rarely told out loud, because unlike the others, this one had an ending. A young soldier became separated from his unit during heavy rain. The jungle was almost completely dark. He wandered for hours trying to find the others. Then he heard someone calling his name, his mother, crying, begging him to come home. The voice sounded exhausted, hurt, real. He answered immediately. "Mother?" The jungle went silent. Then the voice replied, "Come closer." Soldiers later said they heard him screaming somewhere deep in the forest that night, but they never found him. Only his rifle, covered in mud beside a narrow cliff hidden beneath thick vines. Some believed he fell. Others believed something in the jungle finally found him. But after that night, the warnings became more serious. Never answer. Never follow. Never look toward the voice. Part 5. The fear that remained. Even after the war ended, the stories survived. Some villagers near old battlefields still refuse to enter certain forests after dark. Hunters claim they sometimes hear whispers between the trees. Travelers speak of footsteps following them at night. And old men who survived the war still repeat the same warning. If the jungle calls your name, stay silent. Because the most terrifying thing about the voices was not how frightening they sounded. It was how comforting they sounded, like someone waiting for you, someone you trusted, someone you loved. Vietnam's jungles hold countless graves, some known, some forgotten. And maybe not everything buried there ever truly left. Because sometimes, deep in the forest, people still hear voices calling softly from the darkness, waiting for someone to answer.